And we're here now with Andrew and Marshall
You're not doing
Kauffman.
the introduction.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm practicing.
All right. You ready, Marshall?
I'm ready.
What you have here is a Universal Oreo.
Yo, we're ready. All right. Hey, everybody. We're live here from Land by Crawdaddies in Harrisburg. And we're here to do our normal show, talk boxing, but then also talk about the big event this weekend in Harrisburg that's going to be headlined by the lady sitting right next to me, Alycia the Baumgardner. And I'm so excited that she's going to be here, main event. Can't wait for everybody in Harrisburg and all Pennsylvania to see what she's got. I think she's going to be a star. She's a very special fighter, so it's really a pleasure to have her here. What do you think, Marshall?
No, it's great. I mean, she's sitting a little too close to me right now, but it's all good. No, it's fun having Alycia. She's a great girl, great personality. She loves to smile, but even more importantly, she loves to fight, and she does that well. So I'm happy about it. I'm happy that she's part of King's Promotions and on the team, and we're going to keep her busy. We're going to keep her fighting, which is what she wants, and we're going to go after the big fights because let's face it, that's what we want, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what do you think about this Saturday?
What do I think, man? I'm so excited. I've been anticipating this moment for a while now. Just getting done with training camp in Florida, and I'm prepared. I'm ready to perform, put on a great show, and you guys made a great choice for putting me as the main event. So
Let me ask you something. Being that you were in camp in Florida, not everybody understands what it's like being in camp. Tell us a little something about what being in camp, what the details are of being in camp.
yeah, so being in camp requires just a lot of sacrifices away from your family, sacrifices from things that you maybe like to do on a daily basis, and it just brings you into a mindset to train and know what tasks you have on hand and to your fight coming up. And for me, camp, I love it. It brings solitude. It brings attention to areas that I would like to work on, and just being able to be focused and not have no distractions, and it be just about training and about working on the things that um, I want to work on and things that I'm maybe lacking that I can be better and just perform. And so I love being away from home and just being able to focus and because I know that brings the best me.
Now, tell the people out there watching that are tuned in, who is your trainer?
My trainer is Coach Ali from Detroit, um, world champion trainer of Tony Harrison. So
Who has a big fight coming up?
yep, who has a big fight coming up? His rematch with Charlo next Saturday in California. And man, so just being there with him and the team, I'm surrounded with world champion class and just that atmosphere. So it's all good. It's all around good.
And what have you learned by being in camp with Harrison? I mean, like being that he's not only fighting for a world championship, he is the world champion, but he's defending it. What have you seen that he's done that helps motivate you?
Just his his discipline to the sport and just the importance of why he won the first time and why the second time is going to be even better, and just proving to the non-sayers, you have that in boxing, and he put the work in, and he's well prepared for his fight, and so it just prepares me like I did everything he did, so that prepares me to know that we're on the same level.
I mean, I personally know what it takes being in a training camp because I've had a number of fighters that I've trained myself in training camps, but I don't think everybody watching knows what it takes. So you have to prepare. You have to have sparring partners.
Yeah.
You have to know how many rounds you're getting in. It's not like you go out there and you spar 8 rounds right off the bat or 10 rounds right off the bat. You have to build up to that sometimes. Uh, you have to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off during camp because you don't want your fighter to peak too soon. Uh, what can you tell us and the people out there watching what it was like for you and how many rounds? Do you know how many rounds of sparring you put in camp?
Shoot, man, we were doing 10 to 12 rounds, championship level rounds, and just work going through just work on every aspect of boxing and defense and slipping and countering. Just all that was great. And the best part is that I actually got girl work. I got girl sparring. I had three tough girls that I was able to spar with, and so that really separated the guy sparring from the girl sparring that I usually get from the guys. But the girl sparring was perfect, so it definitely edged me a little better as far as what I wanted to work on, what I could do with a female compared to a man.
Now, were you able to watch a video of the girl that you're fighting?
I seen like a short clip of her. I didn't really look too much into it because I know as a fighter I have to make the adjustment, and not everybody fights the same way as they do on a video. And so I seen a little bit of it, and I already made calculations on what I can capitalize on. So.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. All right, great. Andrew?
And no, I mean, I've already talked to Alycia a bit about the camp. Sounds like you're psyched. You had a great experience. One thing she told me that I like to hear, she said that she just feels so comfortable fighting in the pocket now. Which I think that initially seeing Alycia, my thoughts was she's an awesome boxer, probably one of the best talents in the sport. If there was an area that she could improve on, it was staying in the pocket and fighting. So to hear kind of just talk about that, voluntarily, made me really happy.
No, that's great because you and I both talked about that. And we talked about even in Florida after your last fight, how sometimes it seems like you got uncomfortable when the fight got too close, where those were some of the things you need to work on. We talked to Coach Ali about it as well, and he agreed 100%.
Yeah. Speaking on that he brought that like brings a smile to my face, because that was something that we definitely worked on. And specifically, I remember Coach Ali telling me, for like 4 rounds straight, we're gonna pressure her, we're gonna stay in the pocket, don't move, stay right there. And I did it, and I was like, wow, like I did it. I felt comfortable. I'm like, okay, and just like slowly progressing into it. Now it's fun, when it's comfortable, when it's fun, it makes it more comfortable for you to be there. So, yeah, man, we worked on a lot of things, but that being one of them was definitely a highlight of camp.
Right.
Was staying in the pocket.
Well, it's funny because sometimes what happens is when you don't do something, uh, you're a little fearful of what could happen, especially when you got somebody else throwing punches back at you. But you really have to learn to trust in it and believe in it, and really have to learn to trust and believe in your coach. Because in other words, why do you even have it if you can't learn to believe in him and trust in him and what he's telling you? So that's very important. So I'm excited to see how you implement that come Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, and like you said, having that trust. And I always ask questions. I'm like, why are we doing this? And Coach Ali's really good at explaining it to me, and so it makes sense to me. So when I apply it, I'm like, okay,
Right.
and that trust is just is good.
No, it's very important. Uh, and we can sit here and talk about Alycia all day long for the entire show, but we have other people to talk about. We want to talk about last week's fights. I don't know if you tuned in, but we had a bunch of fighters who you're familiar with on the card. Michael Fox,
Yeah.
who was our main event, who is now 22-1, who is moving up in the ratings by the WBA and IBF, and hopefully soon to be rated by WBO and WBC. And Mike performed exceptionally well. And it's funny that you talk about how you're working on learning to stay in the pocket. Mike, who's always been such a phenomenal boxer, went out in the first round and tried to become aggressive. And that's just not his style. But he tried it, and I said to Mike afterwards, I said, Mike, when I talked to him the next day, so I was so proud of you for trying something, and when you saw that it didn't work, then he went back out to doing what he does best, and that's boxing. But the fact that he went out there and tried it against a very hard puncher, because he said the guy he fought could punch. But he went out there and tried it, and that's all you ask of when you're having a fighter to try something, or even from a promoter standpoint. You want them to go out there and try something, and make that attempt, because you know that there is going to make them better, or it's going to make them more of an attraction. And so, Mike did very well. He pitched a shutout. I think he won 78-72 and 79-71 on all the scores. No, I think it was even worse than that because he dropped the guy.
Yeah, it was
78-71 and then 79-70 or something like that. But he performed well. And then we had other guys on from Maryland. We had Marcus Bates, who's 122 pounds, who has phenomenal boxing ability, but can also punch. He's a very good counter puncher. And I'm trying to get Marcus to realize that sometimes you can't wait for them to punch to you. Sometimes you have to take control. And so he's still in a growing, in a learning stage, I believe. And then we had a fight that turned out to be a draw with, you can say his name better than I can, instead of King.
Well, so I thought it was Gank, and you thought it was Gank, and it turns out it's Jency. Believe it or not.
Jency
Mark
Palama.
Prado found that out for us. But
So,
hey, what did we say leading up to the fight? This fight was like 50-50.
Oh,
I think
without
everybody went in there and thought Calvin was going to blow him out, and we said no, he's not going to blow him out.
It turned out to be a draw, and some people were shocked. And then we had the fight that really surprised me, and of course I was extremely excited about, was DeVar Hardy from Maryland as well, who was 7-0 with 6 knockouts, hasn't fought for 3 years, but took on a tough challenge in Vincent Bacchus, who was 4-0 with 3 knockouts.
Yeah.
And totally just broke him down, and eventually stopped him in like the 4th or 5th round. I forget what round it was. But performed very well for being off for 3 years. You can see a little bit of ring rust, but the kid has a lot of potential, and I'm excited about that. And then we had one of your favorites, Martino Jules, on the card. Martino fought a very tough, crafty guy from Houston, and Eric Manriquez, and performed well. Dropped him, just won every round.
Martino is the real deal. I mean, the tougher you put him in with, the better he looks.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the real deal.
And I like it because they're not afraid to take those challenges.
Right.
They like that. And we had an upset on the card as well. Not really an upset, but because I called it. I thought the fight was going to go that way. With Tyrone Jones upsetting undefeated Shamar Ford.
Yeah.
Tyrone Jones stopped him in the 2nd round, caught him with a beautiful left hand, and finished it. And then we had Shenard Bunch, who I thought Shenard Bunch was going to stop Morales, but man, Morales came to fight.
Yeah, that was one of those fights where afterward, obviously Bunch won. I mean, he probably won every round, but you just felt like I wanted to start a cheer in the place for Morales, just because he fought. I mean, he didn't come in there to be an opponent and to lay down. And I think he earned Shenard's respect too by the end of the fight. I mean, that was a class performance by that kid.
And he earned my respect because I love to bring him back.
Yeah,
because the kid comes to fight.
Right. And he could upset a lot of people.
He sure can.
I mean, Shenard is the cream of the crop around there. So there's a lot of people not quite at Shenard's level that I could see him beating, or at least putting in a very, very competitive fight.
I like to see him in there with, as we grow fighters, with James Martin.
Yeah. That'd be a good fight for James.
Exactly. So those are the kind of fights I like to see. So last week, we recapped on last week's show, talked about it. King's Promotions had success in terms of victories, and just bigger and better things for King's Promotions fighters. We'll continue to climb up the ladder. And then we move on to this week. And of course, we talked about the beautiful, talented, smart,
the bomb,
Alycia Baumgardner. And but we're going to talk about the other fights as well. Co-feature on the card is a kid that has an impressive record, 15-0 with 14 knockouts, going up against another kid that you know well, and
Yeah.
Popeye,
Yep.
right? 28 and I think 14 or 20. Is that what it is? What's his record?
38 and 24.
38 and 24. So a lot of experience. A lot of experience. So
Actually sparred him a few times in Florida.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got
So
working with it.
so what can you tell us? What do you think that Popeye brings to the table? Jonathan Perez is his real name.
Yeah. Jonathan definitely comes to fight. He's definitely going to come forward. He's definitely going to press the issue. He does take punches and he keeps coming. So, he'll stand with you in the pocket and throw. And so he's definitely an aggressive fighter.
No, he's a tough kid.
Yeah,
I mean,
tough.
I was surprised. I used him against one of my fighters at 130, Frank Diablo. And Diablo's not really a big puncher, but Diablo stopped him. And I was shocked. I was totally shocked. And then Perez ended up fighting Carl Dargan, who is unlimited talent, and gave Dargan all he can handle. So you just don't know what Perez is going to show up come fight time. And hopefully the best Perez shows up so that we have a great fight, and I think we will.
I think it's a really interesting fight because, Carlos, just based on the record, he looks like a top prospect, and he certainly could be, but there's a lot of unknowns about him at this point. A lot of his fights haven't been in the U.S., and he's not fought somebody the level of Perez. So
Right.
I think we're going to find out a lot about
Right.
Carlos in this fight, and where he's at.
And Perez is in
forward.
shape. I mean, he weighed in. He's ripped. I was messing with him, rubbing his abs. You know what I mean? So he's cut up.
They look like mine.
Okay. They might look like Alicia's. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we'll see it. I think that's going to be a great fight. And then we have the big man, 6'5", 6'6", Michael Coffey, 270 pounds, can box righty, lefty, got a lot of talent. In his last fight in Florida, I was real critical of him because of his weight, weighing in at 280. I think he needs to drop down to about 265. And right now he's about 270 when he stepped on the scale.
Yeah, he looked. You can see it in his face.
Yeah.
He looked thinner.
He looked a lot better, and he's fighting a guy who goes the distance in Grover Young. A veteran of 50 fights. So over 50 fights, and so it's going to be a very good step up for Mike to see how he handles that experience.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then of course, another kid on the card that we both are very high of was a big puncher. Is Kenai Wheeler.
Yeah.
Wheeler was originally supposed to fight Carl Murphy. Murphy pulled out, and Kenai is still learning. I mean, he sort of scared us a little bit in his last fight. He got caught early in the first round, but he's got the goods. He's 3-0 with 3 knockouts. And I'm excited to see what he does with Patrick Pierre tomorrow night.
Strong kid,
Saturday night.
big puncher. I mean, we still haven't seen somebody be able to test him yet, so maybe that'll happen in this fight.
Who else can you tell us about this on the card?
A lot of the rest of the fights are local fights. We got Luis Mayhem Morales in a 4-round fight. This is Luis's first fight back in 18 months. He's fighting Aaron Palmer, a guy from Florida, who neither of us know very much about.
Except that he missed his fight this morning.
So
came in late.
I'm excited to see Luis back in action, see what he looks like. I mean, it's a long time to be off, and we'll see. We got Mr. Hollywood himself, Brent Oren, is going to be fighting a 4-round fight, Dwayne Williams. I think that's going to be a real good fight. Just that, two guys that are similar levels. Brent's an exciting fighter. We'll see what Dwayne brings, but I think that's going to be a good fight. James Bernadine from Lancaster has been away for a little while. He's going to be fighting Nick Baez. And Nick Baez is making his pro debut from the Bronx. And he's become one of my favorite fighters because of what he did with the poster this week.
This guy took the poster. You seen that?
Yeah, I see
So
that.
the poster and blasted his own picture on the poster.
So just because of that, he's definitely climbing the ranks. He's up there now as one of my favorites. So I'm expecting that to be a good fight. I mean, from what I know, these are two guys with kind of similar amateur experience, and they're both coming in feeling like they're the A-side fighter, and they're here to win.
I'm looking forward to that. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to a couple guys that are watching. Peter Olanich, Ivan Robinson, George Fat Ortiz, Gary McNear says Baumgardner, Hector Rodriguez, Vanessa Torres, Tom Cordell, Andrew Foy is watching, Jeremy Watts, and Ivan Robinson.
So Ivan said she sounds like a true champ, and Ivan's been calling me like once a week. He wants to know the story on you. I said, I think she's awesome.
Do you
And
know who Ivan Robinson is?
I would probably have to see his face.
All right, you don't have to see his face. He beat Arturo Gotti
twice
on HBO.
Okay.
Ring
I did not know who
Magazine
Ivan
Fight of the
Robinson
Year
Look, I'm
both
bad
times.
with
He beat Oscar De La Hoya in the amateur.
She's young though. She's younger.
I'm bad with names. I'm better with faces.
All right, we'll let you pass
We'll
on that.
let-
But Ivan's going to be here though for this. He's
Okay.
coming up. He's real excited about it.
I think he's coming up just to see Alycia.
He might be.
I mean,
He might be.
That's what the main attraction does.
Yeah.
so who wants to come up? Who's coming just to see her? I mean, you have to tell me who is it that's showing up just to see this beautiful face. Okay. So I want to know who's coming just to see Alycia. Okay. Give us some insight.
So, I guess as we're waiting for responses, because we're always on a delay, let's just talk real quick about.
Hollywood. Let's talk about Hollywood.
Talk about Hollywood.
Hollywood. Brent Oren.
Brent Oren? That's not where I was going with that,
Okay.
but I think he's
man.
going to come to fight. It's going to be a good fight with him. Now, what do you think about the heavyweight fight this past weekend?
I thought Ruiz should be ashamed of himself for coming in so much heavier, for not knowing after all that experience how to cut the ring off, how to apply the pressure that he should. You know, when you have all those fights and you're world champion, if you don't know how to cut the ring off yet, there's a problem. Okay, but I think that's just his DNA. He's lazy, and he's very easy to beat if you box him. And I think Joshua finally took the chance after he lost and watched the fight when Ruiz fought Joseph Parker and saw how Parker just outboxed him and beat him, over 12 rounds. So that's what I know with Ruiz. He's lazy, undisciplined, so he should be ashamed of himself. Joshua did what he was supposed to do. But I still, watching Joshua in his last two fights, really, I was such a huge fan of Anthony Joshua prior to the loss to Ruiz, and I really questioned whether or not I felt like he could beat Wilder. No way. He's a fraud.
Yeah.
He's a fraud. He folds up when he goes to get hit.
You said Wilder's a fraud?
No, Josh was a fraud.
Oh.
Josh was a fraud. And Wilder destroys him, in my opinion. I think Joshua is, I think fighters like Ortiz beats him. I think my own son Travis beats him. He's a fraud. When you apply pressure to him and start to hit him, what's his defense? He covers out.
But here's the thing, and this is what I was thinking as I was watching it. Was it that Andy Ruiz really was just that out of shape for this fight that he couldn't apply the pressure that he needed to, and he didn't know how to cut the ring off? Or was it a case of Joshua has now officially adapted the Klitschko style of fighting, which I couldn't help but think, he talked about how he got advice from Vladimir and how he was helping him become the fighter that he wanted to be. And I'm thinking we don't need 5 more years of Vladimir Klitschko again in the heavyweight division.
And that's why Wilder's going to destroy him.
Well, right. But I mean, if he fights that way, it could make for some real boring fights, I think, in the near future.
I agree. But he's been exposed, and I think he knows that. He's been exposed with his chin. Can he punch? Yeah, he can punch. But if he goes up against a guy who can take it and apply that pressure and can also punch, he's in trouble.
I agree.
And forgive me for calling him a fraud. I think he was, prior to the Ruiz loss, I think he was an ambassador for boxing because he talks well, he handles himself well inside and outside the ring. But when I say he's a fraud, I don't mean that in a negative way. Forgive me. But when it comes to fighting, he's not really a true fighter at heart.
He's
He's
not the best heavyweight in the world.
No.
I think that I agree 100% with that.
I feel like it fits the part for an average person that watches boxing and say, oh yeah, he's definitely this, that, and the other. But a true boxing fan knows when they see.
Look, he had me sold just on physically how well he looked.
Right.
He had me sold. And not just that, I mean, he has the amateur background to go with it, winning a gold medal and then beating Klitschko. I was like, wow. I mean, I love watching the guy.
But Klitschko was well past his prime at that
but that
point
was the
in his
best
career.
Klitschko I've ever seen, too. You know?
I mean, he still gave a great fight. And I'll be honest with you, that was the first time I seen Anthony Joshua fight. It was a fight with Klitschko. I'm like, okay, he all right. But I still see some small tendencies that I know like boxers do. And I'm like, and it makes me suspect him covering up or him not wanting to get hit. I'm like, okay, that's just kind of exposing some things in the future for his fight.
I agree. You know, I don't think that he has. And can he punch? Yes, he can punch without doubt. But does he have the type of punch like Wilder? No.
Look, the only thing that I worry about, I mean, it's not like I'm losing sleep over this, but if he fights that style going forward, I mean, I feel like he could continue to win for a while longer. And, you know, with Eddie Hearn behind him and puffing him up the way they do, I don't know. I just worry. Are we about to see a return of Vladimir Klitschko again to the heavyweight division? I do too. I mean, I really do also.
You know, and here's the thing I can also say. I know that Anthony Joshua may feel like, you know, that was a great performance, which it was with boxing. But again, you get a Tyson Fury in there who can box just as better. You know what I'm saying? You can be outboxed too.
Look, the best two heavyweights in the world are Tyson Fury and Wilder.
Yeah.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And those two are fighting each other, so we'll see who's the best.
Right.
You know, until it's all said and done. We missed a couple of fights on the card for this Saturday. You know, we talked about we have a female fight on the card, a main event right here, going up against Cristina Pacheco from Argentina.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a great fight. She's durable. She's got she's a 20-fight veteran, never been stopped.
She's fought for a world title.
And fought for a world title until Saturday night. Until Saturday night, this girl is going to create history here. But we also have another female bout on the card. Tell us about that female bout.
We do, yeah. So we got Britton Hart from Virginia fighting Unique Harris from Philadelphia. And Britton has actually fought Alycia in her first fight. Alycia stopped her in the first round, but Alycia stops a lot of people in the first round. Britton did come up and wait a little bit for that fight. She's fighting this fight closer to, I think, what her natural weight is. Not her natural weight, but her fighting weight. 118. Unique Harris is another good fighter. Record's not great, 1-3, but her first fight was against Heather Hardy. So she's fought really tough competition.
Wow.
And Britton's been getting better as well. So I think this is going to be a really exciting fight. I know it's going to be good because Greg Serb actually came up to me last week at the fights and said, oh, you know, I looked into that fight. That's going to be real good. And we know that Greg knows boxing. So if Greg is excited about that fight, you got a good fight.
Right, exactly.
And so I think that is a good fight. And then one other fight I want to mention, Rowley Lolo from Harrisburg is going to be making his debut against Mike DiOrio from New York. That should be a good fight. I mean, DiOrio is an MMA crossover guy. Going to come forward. Rowley's going to come forward. That's his style. So I'm expecting that to be, they'll fight in a phone booth in that one.
Good,
so it'll be fun.
Good. Who is it that you want to fight after you win on Saturday night? Who is it that you want to fight? But don't answer that yet. We're going to come back in 2 minutes. We're going to take a little 2-minute break, and we'll be back with Alycia Baumgardner.
The Bomb.
Colby Madison, 8-0-2, 5 knockouts. taking on Robert Sims, 8-3, with 3 knockouts. Mark Ames ringside.
I haven't had a chance to see these two guys box before.
Madison's a tall guy. He likes to work behind the jab. The left hook from Sims. Sims coming off a 8-round majority decision defeat to George Arias. That was on March 2nd.
Oh, good jab.
There's a hard right by Sims. Madison coming off a 2nd-round stoppage over Emilio Salas on March 29th.
Oh,
hard left from
hard
Sims.
left. Hurt Kobe with that.
And Madison's legs are a little shaky. Body shot from Sims. Hard right and a left again from Sims. And a right rocks Madison again. Left hook and a body shot. 3 shots to the head. Robert Sims going to work on Madison in the corner.
You don't want him to get us out. These 2 big guys in here.
Good body shot from Robert Sims. Sims doesn't look like the greatest athlete in the world, but he's come to fight tonight.
He came to fight. I will admit that. He landed some good body shots, and he's following them up in combination.
All right, hey, we're back. So thanks for staying with us. So before we went to break, Marshall had asked Alycia who she wants to fight after she wins and looks fantastic on Saturday night. So you guys have a minute to think about it.
Yeah, so they asked me, who I want to fight, and the question is anybody can get this work at 130. Anybody. I mean anybody.
All right, you say anybody, but I mean, who is it that you have your eye on? Like, honestly, like, who is it that you feel like?
I would definitely I would like to. I think one person I would like to expose is Michaela Mayer. I know she's, rings bells to some people.
She's with Top Rank.
She's
Top
with
Rank. You heard it. Brad Goodman. All right, Brad Goodman. You're on Facebook. Come on, you know it. This girl wants to smash her. All right. All right. This girl wants to smash her. So stop hiding. Stop protecting her. Let her fight.
Yeah, here's the thing. Women boxing needs competitive fights, and with competitive fights, people respect women's boxing a little more. So, yes, she's an Olympian, and that's great and all, but you have a fighter who's hungry and who's up for a challenge, and I like a challenge. So, Michaela Mayer is definitely a name that I would like to fight and dominate over, to let people know, like, hey, like, she's the real deal, and I am the real deal, and let people know. Let people know that.
I think that's a great fight. I think we need to make sure that if we do it, that it's a main event and not just buried on an undercard somewhere, because
Andrew's a little worried about the judges, and I said no, we don't have to worry about that.
Well, Marshall, remember when we weren't even officially partners yet, but Alycia had already fought, and we were talking about signing her, and I sent you a text message and I said, hey, you really got to do it. I said, because I'm watching Michaela right now on ESPN, and Alycia would handle her. Do you remember that text message?
I remember talking about signing. I don't remember that, but
I think
I'll find it. I'll look back on it.
I think it would be a great fight, and I think it would really show
look, check out
the
this
level.
Girl. Look at this girl's ass.
Oh, you want to see the ass?
Look at that. Look at that. Look how tight that is. Okay. You can't look.
Tic tac toe.
That's hard work. Okay.
No, that is. There's 500 sit-ups every day.
Okay. So hard work. Not only that, because she can box, she can punch. I don't think Top Rank wants any part of that. Even though
they're scared. They're scared over there.
What I'm going to try to do is get PBC to get on board with women's boxing.
They got to.
And that's what we need. We need Uncle Al to get on board and say,
Ohio.
Hey, that's
You know what
right,
I'm saying?
Ohio, that's
Like,
right.
Ohio bred
Hey,
right here.
That's right.
You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
do it. So it's all going to be good, but we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna get that fight, and we want the best.
We do. We do. We want the best. Again, I'm an athlete. I've always been a competitive one, and I like the challenge. I took a 9-1 experienced fighter for my seventh fight, and it was a great fight. It was a split decision. I thought that I won the fight, but that just shows the type of competition that I'm looking to take on, and that was early in my career. So.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking last night, and I said, we love fighters, and I said, you're a fighter. If you look at who you fought when you started, like right off the bat, you fought Britton Hart your first fight. Britton was 2-1 at the time. In your fifth fight, you fought Nigel Feliciano for the WBC International title. Who before that fight with you, she fought Michaela, and it was actually a very controversial win for Michaela, and you dominated Nigel Feliciano in that fight. I was there. I remember it like it was not yesterday, but I remember the fight well. And so, you've not shied away from any competition at any point in your career, right from the get-go. And those are the kind of fighters that we want to work with. You weren't afraid to challenge yourself, to jeopardize perhaps losing, and if anything, it's just made you hungrier, and you've learned from it. And again, from our standpoint, we didn't care about that, So these are the kind of fighters that we want to work with.
No, I agree. So what else is coming up on the horizon? What other fights can we talk about that's coming up for 2019 yet, for the year's over?
I don't know. I mean, the
Charlo, Harrison.
Well, yeah. The first one though would be Crawford, if anybody cares about that.
Crawford's fighting
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah,
He's fighting Saturday, but
No, everybody needs to tune in to watch Alycia Baumgardner.
absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
I see one dude post on Twitter. He said, what's the most important fight this week is the Terrence Crawford fight or something. And I almost said you got it wrong. It's me, but
That's right.
I'm
It is
like,
wrong. No, he definitely has it
I'll
wrong.
just-
That's for sure. He definitely has it wrong. You are the most important fight this weekend. Our show is the most important fight this weekend. Not Top Rank's card, It's your fight, And then the following week is PBC with Charlo and Harrison. I think that's going to be a great fight. I think Harrison got under his skin, got him pissed off. And let's face it, fighters that are pissed off can't fight well.
No.
You have to stay cool, calm, and collective. And I think that Harrison got under his skin. Let's just hope Harrison can stick to the same game plan and box him. I like Charlo. I like Big Charlo even more.
He had a great performance over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely, without doubt. Yeah, Big Charlo. Let's talk about that. He just fought Hogan. He's he walked through him. I like to see Big Charlo fight. Who else is out there at 60?
Everybody's out there at 60. I mean, he could fight Derevyanchenko.
That's who he's fighting next. They talked about that. That's going to be a fight.
I mean, that would be a great fight. He could still fight Triple G. He could fight Andrade. Nobody wants to fight Andrade. Although I don't know if it's because Andrade, they're really scared of him, or if it's just one of those fights that would kind of be it would just fly under the radar and be a boring fight. I mean, look, Demetrius Andrade's fights are boring. I don't know what else to say. Do you disagree?
I do not.
I mean, they're boring. So look, this is about being an entertainer, right? If you really want to be great, and his fights are boring.
No, it is. It's about entertainment.
And he doesn't go for the kill, and it's almost like he's proud that he doesn't go for the kill. It's kind of like, I'm going to put it in people's face that I'm not here to put myself in jeopardy if I don't have to.
Right.
And okay, I understand. I mean, I get it, but this might not be the right thing.
Who is the co-feature on the Harrison and Charlo card?
That's a good question. But I do one of the guys from our team, Anthony Flagg, is fighting on their cards.
Is he
So,
okay? All right.
but I don't know the code.
Okay. I'm not sure either.
We got Tank versus Gamboa.
Tank versus Gamboa coming up.
Yep.
That's what, the 28th of December? Yeah. I think
be a
that's a
dog
3-round fight.
Yeah, I can't.
You know,
I can't get excited. For
Tank
that
is
one.
just
He
too
shouldn't
good.
be fighting Gambo.
Tank is I talked to someone earlier today about, Tank is the Deontay Wilder with phenomenal skills in his division. Can punch.
Yeah.
They compare to Mike Tyson.
And very talented.
Than Wilder.
I mean, what fights do you?
Yeah, but
what
Wilder's a
fights do
bigger
you?
puncher than
What fights
Tyson
do you
was.
want to see Tank fight?
I like to see him
Tank
fight
got
Momo.
skills though.
Yeah.
Tank's got-
Or Tyson had better boxing skills than Wilder.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah. Didn't have the punch like Wilder. Wilder is by far the hardest puncher ever, in my opinion.
Mike Tyson's just my
Well,
favorite.
yeah. Why don't we talk about? Well, we did talk about the Wilder fight on the last show that we did.
Yeah, we
but
did.
but yeah, I mean that's a skill in and of itself to be able to punch the
Right.
way he does. And what do you think is going to happen in his fight with Fury? That's coming up fairly soon.
With Wilder and Fury?
Yeah.
I like Wilder. I do. I think Wilder knows where he made his mistake at by going and trying for the knockout, where I think he's going to be more patient and he's going to land that shot like he always does.
But if he's patient and he fights the way he did with Ortiz, I mean, there's definitely a concern that he's going to just get outworked and lose a decision if he fights Fury that way.
I don't think so. I think he's definitely a much smarter fighter. He knows what he did wrong by loading up, trying to go for that big knockout. And he doesn't need to do that. You know, he's just Wilder by far is the most feared heavyweight out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, without a doubt. We had a couple of people join us. Mickey Rosado, what's up, Mickey?
Mikey said he wants to see Tank fight Farmer. That's a good one. Baltimore versus Philly. What do you think about that?
I would love to see that.
That's a great one. Yeah.
I love to see that. You know? I mean, I like.
That's a good fight.
It is a really good
That's a good fight.
It's a great fight, you know. And I think they need to get it done. But I think what they're doing is they're trying to build up to something bigger.
Yeah.
You know? But Tank already moved to 35.
Yeah, but I feel like Tevin could move up if he needed to
He would
fight
move
that
up.
fight. He would,
That's what I
yeah.
like about Tevin.
Yeah.
Tevin will fight.
Fight anybody.
Tevin knows he wants to go. He wants to make
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
You know. So it's great. Alycia, growing up, who was your favorite fighter of all time? You already mentioned Mike Tyson, but anyone else?
I don't really have
Have you watched female boxing prior to that?
I did, you know, there was one night I had watched some female boxing, and Ann Wolf, she reminds me of myself, you know, her arm structure and stuff, and I like that, and just that brutal knockout that
She was a beast.
She was a beast. Christy Martin.
She said she wants an Ann Wolf knockout.
I do. I want an Ann Wolf
this
knockout.
Saturday.
Yeah, yes, I do.
You have to stay in the pocket to do that.
Over right hand. But yeah. Ann Wolf.
Let's see it happen. All right, let's see it happen. Look at that crew. PR guy. All right.
Let's mention it since we may be coming to a close here soon. So we are at Blend by Crawdaddies.
Me too, Mikey. Mickey, I like to see Travis against Andy Ruiz. I think Travis outboxes Andy Ruiz. You know, Andy Ruiz is very lazy and doesn't like when someone moves on him. He doesn't like to cut the ring off. We just talked about that. So I like it too. But yeah, I know we're going to come to an end soon. So what do we have here?
So we just want to mention though, we're at Blend by Crawdaddies, and this is where the after party is going to be for Saturday night. So we want to just put that out there now. We've got the official after party
So
here.
we're going to have an after party on Saturday night?
We are.
And you're able to drink then Saturday night?
I have me some wine.
Some red wine? She was a little mad at me because I was drinking red wine myself. You know?
Wine and dine. But yeah, the food smells amazing. You know.
The food is amazing.
It smells just as good.
The food is
I'm
amazing.
sure it is. So
we're going to have to bring you over here after you weigh in.
Oh, I'm going in.
There you go.
Going in. Welterweight style.
So, hey, look, I don't know how long we've been on here. What's it been? About 45 minutes?
Yeah, feels like that.
All right, good. Much else to talk about?
Well, why don't we talk about we got a lot of things kind of on the horizon next year. Why don't you mention a few of those dates just to put them out there?
January 18th, Philadelphia, Leocore Center. J-Rock, King's Promotions will be helping to put that show together along with TGB Promotions. February the 8th, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Showtime, World Championship Boxing. Can't share who's on there yet, but that's another card that we'll be involved with and doing. 1 week later, February 14th, Valentine's Day. So if you have a sweetheart, bring her to the fights. February 14th at the 2300 Arena on Showbox. And then 1 month later, we have at the Sands Casino, now Wind Creek Casino. We'll be going back there featuring Jonathan Torres. And then a month and a half later, back at the 2300 Arena, May 1st. So it's already, we already got 4 or 5 fights lined up for 2020. You know.
I need a break from this. I don't know how you feel.
I was supposed to have a break last week, but then someone said they wanted to do a show in Harrisburg, so here we are in Harrisburg making it happen. Okay, and we're doing it because of this young lady right here to my left. So hey, look, make sure you come out, get your tickets. Tickets are extremely cheap, $25 and $50. So not too many $50 tickets left, but come on out, come support the movement, come support this young lady here. I don't know how many times you'll be able to see her in person, but come see her, come watch her fight.
For people watching, I think she's going to be a star. I mean, I think she already is, but big star in the sport. So don't miss this opportunity to come see her.
Yeah. So look, hey, thanks for coming. Alycia, you want to say anything before we close out?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Come out and show support this Saturday. See me live, the main event. It's going to be great. It's great for women's boxing. It's great for anyone who hasn't seen a live boxing show and a woman that is amazing inside and out the ring. So.
Hey!
So come out and see a great show of boxing.
All right. Hey, thanks again. We'll stay tuned. See you on Saturday night.
Yep, thanks.
You know what? This will go live.
No, he's a boxer puncher, so he said he believes he's a better all-around fighter.
And there's a right hand that staggers Gallimore. And Gallimore moving forward. Leaves himself open to be countered, but Rosario has very tight defense. 7.
He like you said, he gotta be more
for Guillen that he's been with for 2 years. A nice left hook there that connected, and Gallimore didn't like that too much, and he is moving forward, but he got clipped with that left hook. Oh, and down he goes! Wow. In this 6th round, an uppercut there.
Oh, he hurt him again.
Another uppercut! Oh my goodness, down goes Rosario!
1 minute to go. Oh!
What a left hook by Gallimore! And Gallimore says